Hey everyone, happy Sunday. I wanted to come to you live because we have a thread going about citing Black scholars, and somebody commented on that thread, how do I find out, how do I find a Black scholar in my field or a scholar of color in my field? So I wanted to come on and give you 3 ways to do it, because I just want to acknowledge that that's a really legitimate question. Here's why. Institutional racism makes it so that it's not easy to see people's actual identity in their work. And in fact, traditionally, right, throughout the culture of academia, we have glorified the removal of identity from science, quote unquote, and other areas, right? It's different in different fields, but definitely this idea of neutrality, and that our bodies shouldn't influence our scholarship is what we are actively trying to, push against by saying, by calls to action, by the site, the hashtag Cite Black Scholars, and the Cite Black Scholars Collective. Those are the kinds of things that these groups and that we need to be pushing against. So just an example, an APA format, you don't use the person's first name, you use their initial and last name. And so you're there's just these institutionally ingrained ways to strip identity away from people. So it's a perfectly legitimate question to say what, how do I know that there's a Black scholar, that I can cite? So I'm going to give you 3 ways to try out. So the first way is start Googling the people that you cite. And for those of us in social sciences and humanities, what I would do is start with my list of theorists. Because especially theorists tend to be the old white crew. So we want to start there. But in general, just start Googling the people who you are often citing, those papers that you go back to again and again. Google the authors of those papers and find their faculty profile, their LinkedIn profile, or whatever, to see if you can identify whether they are scholars of color. And then when you land on a Black scholar to cite, then what you want to do is you want to look at their family tree. And I have that's a really problematic thing to say, in my opinion, but it is common that people say my academic advisor, I come from this lineage, right? And so so you want to look at the lineage. You want to look who, when you find that scholar of color that you're going to cite in your work, who has that person advised? Look at their advisees. Go up the tree, right? And see who were their advisors. And what you want to do is you're just going to be more likely to find more scholars of color, by seeing scholars of color. So that's one way. That's one way to use just some time on Google to figure out, the scholars of color who you might be citing already, and then to find more people like them. So to take that one step further, when you find a Black scholar that you want to cite, and you want to look at that person's work, you want to go to that person's reference list and start Googling those people. This is how we find these interconnected webs of people whose work is building on each other. And so a question that I put in my post yesterday was who do you want to be with? Who do you want to be alongside of? And who are you on side of right now? Who are you in conversation with right now? Whose voices are you amplifying now? Because you're amplifying some over others. So just start looking for other voices to amplify. Okay. The second thing to do, too, again, because it's a legit question, how do I know that this person is a scholar of color? So other things that you could look for are people who have gone to historically Black colleges or Hispanic serving institutions. So you can go get a list of those places. It's super easy to find on again, Google, and I keep saying Black scholars because I really do want to like emphasize today, and we really want to talk about Black scholars. So like find the people who went to historically black institutions, find the people who are at historically black institutions. Those people may or may not be scholars of color, but a clue that you could look for is one of these institutions that is, hooked this person on Google Scholar or LinkedIn or whatever, is one of them a historically black college? Like that would just be another way to see, like just another clue, not a definitive answer, okay? And then number 3, it also occurred to me to search, so there's the hashtag Cite Black Scholars, or Cite Black Women. So you might try just that, like searching, like Googling the hashtag plus a search term that you often use in your searches. So and again, this is something that's like, it deserves a little of your time, right? So go ahead and look, like try that search. See, do things come up if I search like hashtag Cite Black Scholars translanguaging, which would be a term that I would search, right? So like just look, think about it, and find somebody. Like your goal today is one person that you can cite, and then to go on back to the post from earlier today and drop that person's name in the comments, because that has become a amazing thread of resources. Okay, so we're 13,500 people in this group. Everybody can find a Black scholar to cite. So go do it. It's gonna be awesome. Your work is gonna be better for it. Absolutely. So go find, come back, and keep following that thread. Have a great day. Bye.